Good morning, students. Today we will continue our chapter equality, and this will be the last class for your post midterm. Okay, equality is a very simple chapter because all of you have studied equality from class 7 onwards. Okay, whenever you have started studying civics, you have studied about equality. Okay, in general term, equality means without any discrimination, when there is equal opportunities. Okay, so in our last class we have discussed about 3 dimensions of equality. So the 3 dimensions are political equality, social equality, and economic equality. Okay, today we will discuss about the Marx. You must have heard about Marx, right? He was a liberal thinker. So, Marx was an important 19th century thinker who argued that the root cause of economic inequality was private ownership of important economic resources. He stated that to tackle inequality in society, try and ensure a public control over essential resources and forms of property. So, according to Marx, he was an important thinker during the 19th century. Okay, so according to him, he thought that the root cause, there is an economic inequality in a society, and the main reason behind that economic inequality was the private ownership of the important economic resources, because the rich people, okay, they used to have private ownership. Like for example, let's take an example of petrol pump. Okay, so a petrol is a resource, right? So petrol pump has been owned by one of the rich people. That means that petrol pump is a private ownership of that particular person. Okay, so when that there was a private ownership, then obviously if he is having that petrol pump in his name, he is the owner of that petrol pump, then he is a rich person, very, very rich, right? And what about the rest of the common people? They are not the rich, they are poor compared to him. So that's how there will be an economic inequality between the rich and the poor, and the basic reason behind this economic inequality was private ownership. And he says that in order to tackle, or in order to remove this economic inequality from society, there should be a public control over essential resources and forms of property. The resources has to be controlled by the public. Now, who are the public? Because in a democracy, people form the government. So that means if government is controlling some resources, that means that resources has been controlled by the public only. Because we as a common people, we form our government. Okay, and the few properties. So if the government is controlling that property, then obviously whoever will be employed over there, they will get equal wealth, they will get equal wages, right? So this is how it will be possible to eradicate economic inequality from our society. This was the thinking of Karl Marx from 19th century. A liberal upholds the principle of competition as the most efficient and fair way of distributing resources and rewards in society. So there are many liberal thinkers who says that there should be a free and fair competition. Okay, and whoever wins that competition, he or she should be rewarded. That's how economic inequality will be removed from our society. Socialist thinker Ram Manohar Lohia identified 5 kinds of inequalities that needs to be fought against simultaneously. Inequality between men and women, inequality based on skin color, caste, caste-based inequality, colonial rule of some countries over others, and economic inequality. So here Ram Manohar Lohia, he was a socialist thinker. Okay, so he identified 5 kinds of inequalities. He says that there are 5 kinds of inequalities in our society, and those 5 kinds of inequality are: first one, inequality between man and woman. There is an inequality between men and women. Number 2, inequality based on skin color, like blacks and whites. Okay. Number 3, caste-based inequalities, upper caste, lower caste, and a colonial rule of some countries over others, and economic inequalities. Colonial rules means the powerful countries try to capture the other countries. So that is colonial rule. And the last one is economic inequality. So these inequalities has been identified by our socialist thinker, and his name is Ram Manohar Lohia. The first step towards bringing about equality is ending. Now, how can we promote equality? So, how can we have equality in our society? How can we teach people that equality should be there? How can we promote equality? Okay, so the first point is establishing formal equality. The first step towards bringing about equality is ending the formal system of inequality and privileges. So the first step is to bring formal equality, and how that formal equality can be brought? By removing inequalities and privileges. We should stop giving privileges to the people, to the high caste people or the rich people. There shouldn't be any privileges, but there should be a competition, so that whoever wins, he or she will get reward. That's how inequality can be removed from our society. But if we give privileges to some section of the society, then obviously there will be an inequality. Okay. The Constitution of India prohibits discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth, and abolish the practice of untouchability. So the second point, our constitution has amended many laws, right? So there are few laws which has been amended, or the government have removed some practices from our society. Those practices brings inequality in our society, and the government helps the common people to eradicate all those practices. And what are those practices? Discrimination on the ground of religion, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai. These are discriminating people, right? These are differentiating people. Race, caste, sex, or place of birth, and abolishes the practice of untouchability. There wasn't the practice of untouchability, right? The lower caste and the higher caste. So all these things has been abolished or amended by our constitution. Sometimes it is necessary to treat people differently in order to ensure that they can enjoy equal right. Disabled people may justifiably demand special ramps in public spaces. This should not be seen as infringement of equality, but as enhancement of equality. So, like we said that we shouldn't have given any privileges to a certain section of society, right? But everyone should be given a fair chance of competition. But in some cases, it is very necessary to treat some kind of people differently, so that they can enjoy equal right, like the general people or the common people. So examples are disabled people. Obviously, they should be given certain privileges, because in order to have a fair competition, right? That is the reason there are certain reservation for disabled people also, right? This reservation and everything, whatever government is doing, that is all because of equality, because the government wants to promote equality within the society. This is the reason disabled people has been given certain rights. Okay, and we shouldn't think like that. If disabled people are given certain privileges, that means the government is hampering our rights. Government is hampering equality. But we should think that because of giving some privileges to this section of society, government is treating every people equal. We also, as a common people, as a good human being, we also have to treat all those people equally. Okay, we shouldn't never differentiate between the people who are physically well and the people who are disabled. Okay, then affirmative action. Affirmative action is based on the idea that it is not sufficient to establish formal equality by law. It is necessary to take some more positive measures to minimize and eliminate entrenched form of social inequalities. Example for this can be policy of quotas or reserved seats in education and jobs. So, affirmative action, that is based on the idea. Okay, we shouldn't think that whatever government is doing, that is sufficient in order to bring equality in our society. Sometimes we have to it is very necessary to take some measures to eliminate inequality from our society, like social inequality. Okay, in order to remove social inequality from our society, government has given certain quotas or certain reserved seats in the education and the jobs field, right? Somewhere you will find a reserved quota for women, so that women can equally participate against men, and somewhere you will find reservation for the lower caste, okay, or the disabled people. This is only to remove, or this is only to have social equality in our society, and everything has been done by government. But sometimes people, as a common people, we also have to have this feeling that we need to do something. We have to support our government so that it is possible to have social equality in our society. Critics of positive discrimination contend that any provision of reservation or quotas for the deprived in admission for higher education or job is unfair, as it arbitrarily denies other sections of society their rights to equal treatment. Reservations are a form of reverse discrimination. But the government has given certain reservation to a certain section of society, but there are critics. Who are the critics? Critics are those who used to criticize. Okay, so there are few critics who says that by giving reservation to a certain section of society, the government is not having social inequality, but the government is creating discrimination between the common people and the reserved section of the people. This is more harmful for the society, because this one is creating inequality in our society. Reservations should not be given to any other person based on their religion or caste or sex. So this is the thinking of the critical thinker, the critics, because you will find whatever you will say, there are some section of society who used to oppose, or who used to have a different viewpoint, or who used to have a negative point against your thinking. Similarly, whatever government is doing, there are certain critics also. You will find critics everywhere. So these critics used to criticize by saying that whatever government is doing, whatever government is giving reservation to people, this will not eliminate social inequality from our society. Rather, they will increase the inequalities or increase the differences or the discrimination between the two sections of society. A distinction is made between treating everyone in an identical manner and treating everyone as equal. Women require special facilities in order to exercise right to work. They require some provision for maternity leave and creches in the workplace. So, we cannot say that a reservation shouldn't be there, right? Being a woman, as a woman, okay, I would say government has given us a certain reservation, and that is for the betterment of the woman, and as well as we can say that is self-protection also, right? Because in order to have equal rights, in order to utilize our right in our workplace or in our professional sphere, we need some reservation, because we have to fight with the men, the dominating men of our society. That is the reason government has given, government sometimes treating individuals differently also can bring equality in our society. Like by giving reservation to the woman, government is treating women differently than the men, but this different treatment is only to bring equality in our society. So even women require this reservation, special facilities. They require certain special facilities in order to exercise their right to work. Even woman has the right to work. So in order to exercise that right, we need some special facilities also. Okay, there should be certain provision for the woman, because a woman require a maternity leave, right? After the childbirth, they need some time to prepare themselves to work again, right? So everything by keeping in mind by the government, they have given certain rights to the woman, and this right should be given. As a woman, I will say this right should be given, and the whatever reservation, whatever quotas has been given to any other section of the society, that is for sure, that is very we require that, right? Because everyone should get a fair chance of competition in order to compete with each other, okay, so that equality will be there in our society. So this is the end of this chapter, equality. Okay, nothing complicated is there. You will find this chapter very easy. You can write in your own words whatever question came from wherever. You can write anything. You can write in your own words, right? Because everyone knows what is equality. You just have to remember social inequality, social equality, economic equality, and political equality. These are the dimensions of equality. Okay, so for your post midterm, there are 3 chapters: political theory, freedom, and equality. Okay, rest we will continue after post midterm. This is the last video till your post midterm exam finishes. Okay, take care and do read, do learn, and prepare yourself for the examination, and all the very best.